story of Boyka continues, and after some years, another fighter took the spot and became the dominant, and Boyka became miserable with his injured leg. He became with long hair and beard, and his job now is to clean the floor. And the new dominant fighter, who is called Zhikov, was having a match with the presence of Gaga, and he destroyed his opponent. And while Gaga was celebrating Zhikov's win, he dropped some money by the unrecognizable, miserable Boyka, and he wanted him to take the dropped money. But Boyka refused to take the money, then he walked away. Then we see that Boyka's request to be released before his final period is refused, and they told him that he can't stand before the court again for the next 15 years. Then, while Boyka was training his injured leg to make it stronger, Gaga went to his cell and Gaga said, "You look better, my friend. Look, I earned a lot of money from you in the past, so I will give you a better cell and you will work in the library of the prison." But Boyka said, "No, I am happy here, but if you really want to help me, get me in the fighting competition, I want to fight again." But Gaga said, "Are you kidding me? You can't fight Zhikov with one knee. And even if you manage to beat Zhikov in your fantasy world, how can you beat the best fighters in the world?" Then Boyka continued to train his injured leg. Then one day, there was a match between Zhikov and another one fighting for his freedom, and Zhikov finished him very quickly. Then Boyka came after he shaved his hair and beard, and he threw water on Zhikov, and he said that he want to fight him to show who is the real fighter. And while the guards were trying to stop Boyka, Gaga said to the prison manager, "Let him fight, at least he goes out with dignity." Then the fight begins, and Boyka managed to destroy Zhikov really quickly as a surprise to everyone. After that, they moved Boyka to the prison where the International Prison Fight Tournament will be held, as he, by that win, qualified to it. And also, Gaga went to a casino where all members from all over the world who participated in this competition will be there, and he met someone there that said to him that his fighter named Torbo will be unbeatable. Then there was the gathering of the prisoner fighters in the host prison, and the manager of the host prison was talking to them. He welcomed them and said to them that this is the first ever international prison fighting tournament, and he told them to introduce themselves. Then he told them that they will not have any special treatment. They are all here equal. Then Torbo insulted the host prison manager, so he got beaten by the guards for that. Then they took the prisoners to their cells, and while they were on the way to their cells, they stopped to see and feel the hype of the ring where the competition will be. Then they went to their cells. Then here comes the founder of the prison competition, an old man called Rizzo, who arrived to the casino to meet the business people that participate in this competition. And he delivered a speech that says, "This is a rare chance for us to earn a lot of money at the lowest risks possible. And we gathered all the people from the underworld with their fighters to be able to do that." Then the guards went to wake up the fighters, and the host prison manager said to them that they will have 1 hour of training a day, but before that, they will get some fresh air and some sports. Then they took them to a cutting rocks area where they will cut rocks as their sports. And Torbo was not comfortable with this activity, and he tried to clash with Boyka, but the guards stopped them and they said, "Your fight will be in the ring." Then they took back the fighters to the prison, and they started to get their 1 hour of training. Then we see a Colombian prisoner fighter representing the host prison in the competition talking with the host prison manager that he will be good after taking his shot. Then the host prison manager brings some prisoners to their Colombian fighter to train with them, but he destroyed them all. Then the competition begins. The first match, the Brazilian fighter wins. Then the second match, Torbo wins easily. Then the third match, Boyka's turn, he wins his match after showing a strong performance. The fourth match, the Colombian fighter win after showing a very dominant and brutal performance against his opponent. Then the host prison manager talked to the losers and told them, "Here ends your journey to freedom. You will return to your original prisons." Then the guards took them in a car, and in the middle of the road they left them and said, "Your original prison guards will take you from here." Then they killed them and put them in the oven. Then, while the winners were cutting the rocks as usual, Torbo tried to talk to Boyka by saying, "I saw your fight and actually you have some skills, but I have some skills too." Then the guards saw them talking, so he told them to not stop cutting rocks. Then when Torbo tried to speak again to Boyka, Boyka punched him. Then they fought each other until the guards separated them. Then they took them to underground cells, and these cells were very narrow and in a very bad condition. Then Torbo kept talking to Boyka, but Boyka didn't care about him, and he felt that his knee was hurting him so bad, and both of them can't do anything. Then the following day, Gaga and the American guy who is responsible for Torbo came to the guards and wanted to see their fighters. Then when they met their fighters, they told them that host prison forces them to do really hard work while they are tied, so they have disadvantage. And when Boyka understood that disadvantage, he clashed with Torbo to get some rest and to get his manager Gaga attention. Then Gaga Gaga and the American guy went to the office of the host prison manager, and they were angry. And when they tried to talk to him, he said, "Here is Mr. Rizzo." And when they asked Rizzo why he does that to their fighters, he said, "To make them lose." What did you expect? Then they said, "We put a lot of money to bring our fighters to here. We are going to destroy you." Then Rizzo said, "Perhaps, but remember that we should get the most benefits at the lowest risks. So my suggestion is, go bring all your money and put it on the Colombian fighter and you will be rich." Then they said, "What about our fighters?" The host prison manager said, "We put them down with the others." Then Gaga said, "Would you guarantee that my fighter lose?" Rizzo responded, "Sure, I would guarantee." And Torbo became like a friend with Boyka and kept talking with him everywhere. And while they talking to each other, they talked about survival from everything they put them in. And when they returned from the hard work, Boyka still wanted to train, and he wanted to compensate the time they took from them. Then shortly, Torbo joined him. Then Gaga and the American guy made their calls to bring all their money to bet on the Colombian fighter. And when Boyka and Torbo went to have their breakfast, the guards prevented them from eating. Then they took them to the hard work straight away. And while they were on the way, Boyka told Torbo that they will turn that into their advantage, and began to make this hard work into training by doing it in a way that is looking like training. And Torbo noticed that Boyka feels bad about his knee, so he gave him some plant to put it on his knee. And they took a meal break and started to talk friendly to each other. And Boyka asked about his tattoos, and Torbo said that these tattoos of his children, and said that he really wanted to see his daughter who is 4 years old. And Boyka said to him that he only wanted to win to prove himself as the most complete fighter in the world, but Torbo said to him that he will have to beat him. Then Gaga received his money he will bet with, and Boyka put the plant on his knee to relieve the pain. And Boyka has his semi-final match against the Brazilian fighter. And Boyka faced a tough challenge in his match against the Brazilian fighter, as his opponent was very fast and tough, and Boyka's knee bothered him during the match. But he fought back and managed to make his opponent tap out at the end, and he won the match, delivering a strong performance that made everybody worry about, and the Brazilian fighter showed some respect for Boyka. Then they killed the Brazilian fighter as usual. Then Rizzo went to the host prison manager and expressed his worry about Boyka to him, and said, "I am worried about that Boyka. He looks extremely strong, and I can only imagine that the American is also that strong. Perhaps your methods are inadequate." The prison manager said, "I will increase my efforts." Then the host prison manager went to Torbo and asked him about the Russian Boyka, but Torbo told him to ask the Russian about the Russian. Then they beat him up so bad that he became really tired in the bed, and he called Boyka while laying in the bed. And when Boyka saw him like that, he said to him that he needs a doctor. But Torbo said, "No, I will get to fight you." Then while Boyka was training, the Colombian fighter went to him and tried to provoke him. He said to him, "When I was in the hole, I heard about Boyka, the champion of the prison fighters, but now he is like an injured horse. He is the champion of toilets." Then Boyka said, "The champion of toilets is who you will be when I am finished with you." Then both of them started to train really hard. Then Boyka went to the American Torbo, but he didn't find him in his cell. He found him training, and when the host prison manager saw them, he ordered to take them to the hard work. And while they were on their way to the hard work, Boyka told Torbo to run away when they arrive, but Torbo refused. But Boyka told him that they will make sure that he doesn't win tomorrow. But Torbo said, "I don't care." And when they arrived to the site, he said, "I will finish the competition." But Boyka said to him, "That is not the time for this. That is your chance. The security here is not as it should be. They are not expecting us to escape. We are here to fight. I will break your chain. Then run to the forest and you know how to survive." Torbo said, "No honor in running away." But Boyka said, "No honor in dying for money." Then Torbo said, "I will fight the guy." Boyka said, "Not in your condition." Torbo said, "Okay, I will lose, then return to my prison and do what I do." Then someone from the prisoners said, "No return from here." They all disappear. Then Boyka said, "You see, that is what I am talking about." Torbo said, "They will kill you for that." Boyka responded, "No, they need me for the fight. They will not destroy their final payday." Then Torbo said, "Why you are doing that?" Boyka said, "Don't ask too many questions." Then Boyka started to hit the chain to break it, but the guards noticed that, and they went to beat Boyka and Torbo. but Boyka and Torbo beat them and took the keys of the chain, and Boyka unlocked it, and Torbo started to run to the forest and escape. Then they took Boyka and put him into the cell, and Rizzo went to him and said, "From all the fighters, I expected you to be the last one to be a problem." Then Boyka asked, "Where is the American?" Rizzo and the prison manager said, "We will find him and care about him." Then Boyka said, "I want to see Gaga." Then Rizzo said, "Do you think Gaga or anyone else can help you?" Boyka said, "He will care about his money, and that is me." But suddenly, Gaga appeared and said, "There is a change of plans. I changed the bet. I will bet on the Colombian." Boyka said, "You are with them?" Gaga said, "I am with the money. I am always with the money." Then here comes the final fight between Boyka and the Colombian fighter, and the match begins, and both fighters are brutal with each other. But Boyka is suffering with how fast and accurate the Colombian fighter is, and his knee is bothering him. And now the Colombian fighter became the dominating one, and Boyka is receiving now some violent kicks and punches until he is being knocked down and fell from the ring. Then he remembered the insult from the Colombian fighter, and he tied his knee, and suddenly he rised again, and it was a surprise for everybody. Then the fight continued until the Colombian fighter hit Boyka's tied knee and his leg got broken. And finally, Boyka wins the match. Then Rizzo and the American guy and the prison manager felt the pain of the loss, as they lost all their money, and Gaga threatened Rizzo. Then the American guy took his gun and went to the host prison manager office, and then Rizzo entered, so he killed Rizzo, but he has been killed by the prison manager. Then the host prison manager went to Boyka and told him that the deal was to free only one fighter, but because he was responsible for Torbo's escape, he will not be free. And while they were taking him to kill him, Torbo appeared and killed them all, and he said to Boyka, "Let's go." Then found Gaga was there in the car they will ride, and it was a happy surprise, as Gaga betted on Boyka and gave him his share of the profit. And Gaga said to Boyka, "You are the best fighter, with knees, one knee or no knees, it doesn't matter." Then Boyka asked Torbo, "Are you with him?" He said, "Yes." And then Boyka said that he wants to stop here. And then both him and Torbo told their real names to each other. And Torbo told him that he owes him a fight between both of them. But Boyka said, "Next time." Then Torbo and Gaga went on their way, and Boyka also became a free man. The story of Boyka continues, and he is still dominating fights, but this time in Kiev, while in the Russian prison, there is some giant dangerous fighter that destroys all his opponents and even kills them. Then Boyka became a religious man too, and is making donations to the church. Then while Boyka was training, his manager came to him and offered him a match in the qualifications of the European fighting competition in Budapest, and Boyka agreed happily. Then here comes the day of the match. And Boyka's manager tells him before the match that the sponsor is sitting in the front row. Then he asks Boyka, "Are you ready? How is your knee? Are you nervous?" Then Boyka said, "Don't ask too many questions." Then Boyka's manager said to him, "Before you go, you need to know that this fighter is good." Boyka said, "It doesn't matter how good he is." His manager said, "This fighter is hungry just like you. He seems like he needs it." Boyka said, "Nothing will stand between me and this competition." Then the announcer introduced Boyka. Then the match begins, and it is a good match between Boyka and his opponent, and they are both well qualified. But Boyka managed to win with his magnificent skills, and he said happily to his manager, "I did it." His manager said, "Yes, you did. You see, the crowd loves you." Then the sponsors went to Boyka in his locker room and said to him, "Congratulations. We did not see such an impressive fighter since a long time. Now we will see you in Budapest in 2 weeks, and you have one shot now. Either you will be in the big league or you will lose." Boyka said, "I don't lose." Then his manager said to him, "That is great, Boyka. That is what you were fighting for your whole life, and here is your share from tonight's match." Then while Boyka was getting out of the arena, he saw his opponent is taken to the hospital, and he asked what happened to him. They told him he is in a serious condition. He has a concussion. Boyka felt so bad about that, and became sad and feeling guilty. Then the following day, he went to his manager and asked him about his opponent condition. His manager said he is dead. Then Boyka asked about his name and from where he came, and if he has a wife and children. His manager responded, "His name is Victor, from Russia, and I don't know if he has children or wife. I took his things from his locker." Then Boyka said, "I want to see his things from the locker room." Then Boyka saw a picture of his wife. Then he said to his manager, "I want a fake passport. I want to cross the border to Russia." His manager said, "You are crazy. You are a wanted man there. And what about Budapest, your dream?" But Boyka still says, "Give me the passport." But his manager said, "This will ruin your life, Boyka." But Boyka responded, "It is not this life that I worry about." Then we see Victor's funeral, and his widow was there. And there was some guy looks like a mobster went to her and said to her, "My consolidations." Then after the funeral, he talked to her again about her late husband's debt, and she said, "I will pay you when I will be able to." He said, "Let me help you. I can make things easier for you." Then Boyka went to meet his manager and take the passport, and he tried to advise him by saying, "Boyka, please don't do this." But Boyka said, "Shut up and give me the passport." Then his manager said, "Boyka, if I can't stop you, at least listen to me. You are now used to the outside world, so be careful to not go back to prison." And he continued by saying to him, "Stay away from the commercial buses. They only take you across the border. Then ride a minivan that can get you through a provisional military checkpoint. You keep your head down and everything will be good. After that, you are alone." And Boyka managed to pass the checkpoint. He said that he was visiting his uncle who was dying. Then when he arrived to Russia, he went to a hotel. Then he picked an envelope from his bag related to the late Victor, and there was an address written on it. So he went to this address. And when he arrived to the address, he saw Victor's widow, who is called Alma. And she saw him too, but there were some men who came and took her. And when someone asked Boyka what he is doing here, he said that he wanted to talk to her. The man said, "Nobody can talk to her." Boyka asked him about where she is going. The man told him that she is going to work. And Boyka asked about the place and Karingueto. And the man told him. Boyka went to the place, and her workplace turned to be a fight nightclub owned by the mobster who talked to Alma. And there was a fight between a dominating fighter called Dago and another opponent, and Dago won. Then Boyka saw her, and she saw him too. She is working as a waitress, and she talked to him and said, "Who are you? Are you following me?" Boyka said, "I need to talk to you." She said, "Talk about what?" He said, "Sorry, I came a long way to talk to you." Then mobster assistant interrupted him and said, "What are you doing here?" But Boyka said, "I wanted to talk to her." But the mobster assistant showed him the gun and said, "Let's talk outside." And when they went out, the assistant said to him, "You chose the wrong girl. Go and don't return to here again." But Boyka said, "So when she will finish her work." Then the assistant became angry and told the guards to beat him up, but Boyka destroyed them. And here comes the big boss who said, "Bravo, that was a good show. My name is Zora, and I own the club. You can fight for me in the ring." Boyka said, "I am not interested." Zora said, "What are interested in?" Boyka said, "The waitress. I want to tell her something." Zora said, "Tell me what you want to tell her and I will deliver the message." But Boyka said, "No, I want to tell her myself." Zora said, "Nobody goes near Alma without my permission. So now get out of here." Then Zora said to one of his men, "Keep an eye on him." The following day, Boyka went to the place where Alma works during the day, and it is like a community center. Then she came to talk to him. Then he told her that he knew her husband Victor, and he gave her the envelope. Then she asked him if he saw his last fight. He said, "It was me. It was me, the one in Kiev." She said, "So, you the one who killed him." Then he gave her the money he received from the fight. But she said, "That is blood money, take it." Then he said, There is something I can do for you?" She said, "Yes, bring him back if you can." Then she said, "Get out of here." Then Zora was badly looking for a real fighter, and by chance, Boyka went to Zora and offered him that he fight for him, but Zora must wipe Alma's debt in return to that favor. Zora said 6 fights. Boyka said 2 fights. But Zora said 3 fights. Boyka accepted, and he requested that finish the 3 fights in a week because he is in a hurry. And Zora said to him that he must fight Digo, his best fighter. Boyka said, "Okay, but he will be the last one." Then Zora said to Boyka, "It is nice to work with you, Mr. Boyka. Don't be surprised. I know everyone enters my territory, and don't be afraid. I run everything here." Then Boyka walked away. Then the assistant asked Zora why he hires someone unknown from the street, but Zora told him that this is Boyka the legend. Then Boyka called his manager and told him that he will spend another week there. Then his manager said, "Do you remember how you bled for this moment? How much money you spent to fix your knee?" But Boyka didn't care about what his manager said. Then Alma went to him and told him that she doesn't want him to fight for her. He said that he wanted to help her and remove her debt, but she said that she is not for sale, and she doesn't want his help or his money, and she wanted him to go away from her. But Boyka said that he will go away when the fights end, and that this is the least thing he can do for her and her husband. And he continued saying, "I didn't come here to own you. I came here to free you to pay your debt to save myself." Then Boyka went to the training center, but someone tried to bother him, but Boyka knocked him down. Then it is time for the first match for Boyka, and Boyka managed to win easily. Then Dago tried to provoke him, and Zora said to him, "Don't be too comfortable. The first match always easy." Then Alma went to Boyka and gave him a glass of water. Then he asked her if there is a place to train at, because the other place is overcrowded. She told him to come to the community center tomorrow, and he went to the community center the following day, and she took him to the gym of the center, and he started to train there. And that is where her husband used to train. Then it is time to the second match, and this time it is a 2-on-1 handicap match. Two fighters at the same time against Boyka, and Zora said to him from the stand, "This is my arena and my rules." And the match begins, and Boyka faces tough challenge, but he manages to cope with it, and he tried to finish both of them, but he got some sort of injury because of the toughness of the match, but at the end he managed to win. Then Zora brought an officer from the Russian prison and gave him money and asked him to bring the giant fighter. The officer said, "I could lose my job." But Zora told him that this time he will not only get money, but also a promotion, because he will give him Boyka. Then Boyka went to train again after the fight while he is hurt. And Alma went to him and massaged his injury with an ointment she made it herself with a special recipe. And while doing that, she told him to leave the town anytime he wants. But he told her to leave herself and take everything with her. But she got angry and told him that this is her and her husband dream. This center, and without it many kids will be gangsters. Zora went to Alma and threatened her because of Boyka. He wanted him to not be at the center again, and he put in her head the idea of Boyka killing her husband. Then she went to Boyka's hotel room to ask him about what happened with her husband that day, and Boyka said that he made many terrible things before, and when a chance came to him, he just saw her husband as a man standing between himself and his dream, and he told her that he regrets that. And here comes the fight with Dago, the supposed final match, and Boyka and Dago were equal in that match, and they punished each other, and it was a difficult match until Boyka won it finally. Then, when Zora went to him, Boyka said that the deal is done and now she is free, but Zora said that the deal will be done when he beats his champion, and Dago was not his champion. Boyka said, "Okay, bring your champion now." And when Boyka was in the ring waiting for his opponent, he found that the giant fighter is his opponent, and Zora made Alma watch the match beside him, and the match begins, and Boyka can't do anything with this giant, and he is suffering a lot until he managed to show how he is a smart fighter and slowly began to dominate this giant until he knocked him down and won the match. Then Zora made his guards beat up Boyka, and he kidnapped Alma, and Boyka saw this, so he got angry and rised to beat all the guards up, and he became in gun battle with Zora while Zora is going away with Alma, but Boyka managed to reach them, and with the aid of Alma, he managed to kill Zora and free Alma. And then Boyka fell with his injuries between the arms of Alma, and he asked her for forgiveness. Then the police came, and they took Boyka and put him in prison, as he is a wanted man. And after 6 months, he had a visit from Alma, and she showed him the kid's drawing of him. Then she said to him, "You showed me that there is still good in the world, and you brought my dignity back and my freedom. So I wanted to thank you for everything, and I wanted you to know that I forgive you." And Boyka became very grateful for that. Then he returned as Boyka, the champion of the prison fighters, and he continued as the Undisputed, the end.